Okay, we're going to do 2-5-1 progressions using drop two chords, starting on the D minor chord. It's going to be on the middle four strings now. So we did the top four strings, and we did the G minor set. We started on G minor 7. Now we're going to start on this D minor 7 right here, and it's 5th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, or more importantly, root 5th, 7th, 3rd. Then we're going to go to the 5 chord, which is G7. So 2, D minor 7, 5, G7, and this one is kind of like an E chord slid up with the pinky added right here. In fact, this could be an E7 chord. This is a G7 chord. And it's 5, 5, 4, 6, 5th, root, 3rd, 7th. And then we'll slide down to the C major 7 chord, okay, and that's 3, 5, 4, 5 as far as frets go. It's the root, the 5th, the 7th, and the 3rd. Okay, so that's D minor 7. Alright, so now we can maybe we can flat the 5th on the D minor 7, so now we have a D minor 7 with a flat 5. Fret-wise, it's going to be 5, 6, 5, 6. Middle 4 strings, don't forget. And that's root, flat 5th, 7th, and the 3rd. D minor 7, flat 5. We go to G7 and to 1. Now, we could get a chromatic bass movement going if we went from D minor 7, say flat 5, to G7, but we flat the 5th on that one. Okay, so what I did was I took this note here, the 5th string, 5th fret, and that's a D, and I went down to D flat. So it's 4, 5, 4, 6. Okay, that's G minor or G7 flat 5. So D minor 7 flat 5. Then I kind of just leave my pinky where it's at, and then slide the other 3 fingers down, and I get the G7 flat 5. And then I just go down to C. And when I go down to C, I'm really leaving these 2 fingers here, the G and the B, and I'm taking the D flat down to C, and I'm taking the F down to E. Nice leading movement that way. Okay, so let's try another one. Let's do okay, D minor 7. We're going to go G7. We're going to flat the 9. So here's the 9th, G9. Okay, that's kind of a stretch. It's 5th fret, 7th fret, 4th fret, 6th fret, and the 9th is here. So we have on the 4th string. So we have the 5th, the 9th, the 3rd, and the 7th. Okay, but if I flat the 9th, it's a little bit easier to grab that. It's basically a diminished chord. So G7 flat 5 or flat 9. So if I go from D minor 7 to G7 flat 9 to C major 7. Also, we get nice leading tones. We get this nice the 4th string. That A goes down to A flat. That goes down to G. Okay. Now if I start with D minor 7 flat 5. Very, very subtle change, because we are basically 3 of these notes are in the G7 flat 9. The only change is I'm going to take the C down to B. Okay, so this is D or G7 flat 9. So what if we flat the 5 as well? Remember the 5th is here on the 5th string, the D. We're going to take that down to D flat. Okay, and now we end up with this chord, which is a D flat 7 chord, really another name for it. So I could go D minor 7, D flat 7 to C major 7. Or we could think of it if there was a G in the bass. Imagine there's a G in the bass on the 2nd chord. D minor 7, G7 flat 5 flat 9 to C major 7. So check this out. There's D minor 7. That's what that would sound like. Here's the G in the bottom. And then C. Let's see, what's another one? We could go, we could try D minor 7 to G7 sharp 9. Totally not one you're going to want to grab. Certainly not fast. and I didn't get it. There it is. So that one's a little tougher because remember the ninth is here. To sharp the ninth, you're going to go this way. So that's a tough voicing, and it doesn't lead particularly strong to this chord. So there's several there. Okay, one thing we can do, now instead of playing D minor 7, we're going to substitute. The way I would normally make a minor ninth would be to take the root up a whole step. Okay, when you add a ninth, you can take the third down, or you can take the root up, because the ninth is the same as the second. So if you take in the case of a D minor ninth, if you take the root up a whole step, you get the ninth. If you take the third down a half step, you get a ninth, but you lose your third. And when you lose the third, you don't have a major minor tonality of the chord. So if I were to take off, like here's D minor 7, if I raise the root up, I get this voicing. Now without a D present, it's kind of odd sounding. Or if I were to take the third down, it would be that, and that could be major. It doesn't have any third in it, so we don't know the tonality. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use this voicing, and it's not technically a drop 2 voicing. So what it is 5th fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 5th fret. We have D, F, C, and E, and the note that's missing is the 5th. 5th is really not that critical of a tone, but we do have our third still, the F, and we have the ninth, the E. And I love major 7th chords and minor 9th chords because they have this major 7th interval in it, and by themselves they sound kind of odd, but when you put the other two voicings in there, that oddness kind of goes away and it just turns into a beautiful chord. Okay, so there's D minor 7 or D minor 9th, and then we can go to G7 to C. And the nice thing about that is we have that movement of the E up to the F and then back down to the E for the C. So we just went pure D minor 9th to a pure G7 to a C major 7. Alright, so let's try another one. See, D minor 9th to that D7 flat 5. Okay, and remember we came across that by taking the G7, adding the flat 9, flatting the 5th, and we ended up with a D7 flat 5. So that's called a tritone substitution. On any 5 chord, you can substitute a tritone away. So if it's G, D flat, so a D flat 7 can substitute for a G7. For an A7, you could substitute a D flat 7. It's going to have some of the same leading qualities. It's going to be altered sounding, but it's going to have that same resolution sound. So we've got D minor 9th to D flat 7 to C major 7. That's nice. Let's try maybe altered. So we've got D minor 9th to G7 flat 9 to C major 7. Also we've got, let's see, we could do just the flat 5. That's nice. Okay, let's go back to our original D minor 7. Okay, and now we can go up here to this G7, and then we can go to that C major 7. Okay, so I'm doing D minor 7 to G7 up here, and the fret numbers for this, starting on 5th string, 8, 9, 7, 8. Okay, and this is a 3rd inversion G7 chord, so it's got the 7th on the bottom, 7th, 3rd, 5th, and root, and it's going to go to the C major 7, which is the crazy voicing in the middle here, pretty spread out. It's 7, 9, 5, 8. And in musically, it's the 3rd, the 7th, the root, and the 5th. So we have this D minor 7 to G9 or G7, sorry, to the C major 7. Okay, I could go up to 9th. Now the 9th chord would be this. That would be one way to play it. Take that root, that G up there, up to the A. So I'm fret-wise, I'm 8, 9, 7, 10. You can hear that on top. It's kind of nice. So, and then of course with all of these G7s, we can flat the 5th, Okay, but whenever you start on a 2 chord, you've got an option. You can either go down to the G7 below it, or the 5 chord below it, or you can go up to the 5 chord above it. And then what that does is that sends you to the next one. Now, I could, instead of going to this C, we could continue the upward movement, because when we went to this G7, we went down to this C. But if I go D minor 7 here, and then to this G7, I could go up to this C major 7 up here. Right? And that's all, keep in mind, this is all staying in the middle 4 strings. Okay? These are exercises as much as they are actual practical 2-5-1s. Sometimes you will go from here, say, you know, I'm on this D minor 7, and then I might go to this G7 and into that C major 7. You know, I may want that kind of movement where I actually go across strings. There's no problem with that. I'm just kind of using this as a starting place. How can we learn some more 2-5-1s using drop 2? So there's a few, and next we're going to do the next voicing. The minor 7 is right here. Kind of a tough stretch, but we're gonna do that one next. Okay. God bless you guys. Talk to you soon.